Hello everyone, welcome to TMC eHub channel. My name is Pratibha. We are making a series of videos for all competitive exams in all over India. In this series, as part of geography, today we are going to discuss about the topic that is naming of cyclones. The topic name is naming of cyclones. Let's see intro about the naming of cyclones. The India Meteorological Department, that is IMD, recently released a list of 169 names of future tropical cyclones. The Indian Meteorological Department recently released a list of 169 names of future tropical cyclones that would emerge in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. As an RSMC means Regionally Specialized Meteorological Center. RSME full form is Regional Specialized Meteorological Center. The IMD names the cyclones developing over the North Indian Ocean, including Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. The IMD names the cyclones which are developing in the North Indian Ocean, including Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, after following a standard procedure. The IMD is also mandated to issue advisories to 12 other countries in the region of the development of cyclones and the storms. The important point is the IMD also mandated to issue advisors to other 12 countries. The other 12 countries in the region on the development of cyclones and the storms. This is about the intro of naming of cyclones. That is, the Indian Meteorological Department decides the name of the cyclones, and it is recently released 169 future tropical cyclone names which are emerging in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. Let's see about cyclone formation. How cyclones are formed. Let's see few points about the cyclone formation. Cyclone is the formation of very low pressure system with, here the point is, with very low pressure system and with very high speed of winds. Here the formation of cyclones is with very low pressures and with high speed of winds revolving around it. Here the pressure should be low and the speed of the wind should be more. The factors like wind speed, wind direction, temperature and humidity contribute to the development of cyclones. The factors which are helpful contribution or which are helpful for the cyclones to develop the cyclones is, that is, wind speed, wind direction, temperature, humidity. These are the factors which are contributed to develop the cyclones. Another important points: before cloud formation, water takes up the heat from the atmosphere to change into vapor. Before the cloud formation, the water absorbs heat from the atmosphere to change into water vapor. When the water vapor changes back to liquid, forms a raindrops. Here the point is, when the water vapor, first the water takes up heat from the atmosphere and to change into water vapor, and when the water vapor changes back to liquid, forms as raindrops. This heat is released to the atmosphere. Here the point is, before the cloud formation, the water takes heat up from the atmosphere to change into vapor, and then water vapor changes back to liquid and forms as a raindrops. This heat is released into the atmosphere. The heat released to the atmosphere warms the air ground. Here the point is, the heat which is released to the atmosphere warms the air ground, and the air tends to rise and causes a drop in the pressure. When the heat released to the atmosphere warms in the air around, and the air tends to rise and causes a drops in pressure. More air rushes to the center of the storm. Here the point is, more air rushes to the center of the storm. This cycle is repeated, and here the cycle is continuously repeated. This is the formation of cyclones. The important points for the formation of cyclone is there should be low pressure system and high wind speed. And the factors which are contributed to develop the cyclones, that are the wind speed, wind direction, temperature, humidity. These are the factors which are contributed to develop the cyclones. This is about the cyclone formation. Let's see what cyclone names has India suggested. What are the cyclone names that India has suggested? The 13 names in the recent list that India has been suggested by India, including, let's see what are the 13 names that India suggested. First one is Gati, Tej, Murasu, Ag, Vayom, Jagra, Pranob, Neer, Prabhanjan, Gurini, Amudab, Jaladi and Vega. These are the names that India suggested. These are the cyclone names has India suggested. These are the 13 cyclone names. Some of the names picked up by India were suggested by the general public. And next, India's choice is Gati will be chosen, and as soon as subsequent cyclones we are going to be named sequentially, column wise. We can see in our next slide what are the cyclone names of the other countries they are suggested. This is about the cyclone names that India suggested. 13 cyclone names India has suggested. Let's see why eastern coast of India is more vulnerable to cyclones. These points are very important. Why eastern coast of India is more vulnerable to cyclones? Let's see the points. In addition to the storms that originate in the southeast of Bay of Bengal and adjoining Andaman Sea. Here the point is the storms that originate in the southeast Bay of Bengal and adjoining the Andaman Sea, breaking way of typhoons over the northwest Pacific, move across the South China Sea into Bay of Bengal, intensifying into cyclones. Means first it originates in the southeast Bay of Bengal and adjoining Andaman Sea, and where over the northwest Pacific breakway of typhoons took place in the northwest Pacific and moves across to the South China Sea, and which moves across to the South China Sea into Bay of Bengal, intensifying into cyclones. And in contrast, Arabian Sea cyclones are mostly their own formations. Here the point is the cyclones which are developed in Arabian Sea are mostly by their own formations, and they also generally move northwest away from India's west coast, and they also generally move from northwest away from the India's west coast. Let's see another point. Besides, Arabian Sea is colder than the Bay of Bengal. Here the important point is Arabian Sea is colder than the Bay of Bengal, which inhibits the formation and intensification of the cyclonic system in the former. We can see here Arabian Sea is colder than Bay of Bengal, which inhibits the formation of intensification of cyclone systems, and warm sea surface temperatures is an ideal platform for cyclones. Another important point is warm sea surface temperature is an ideal platform for cyclones. These are the reasons why eastern coast of India is more vulnerable to cyclones. Once go through the points again, you can clearly understand. Let's see. There are two types of cyclones: tropical cyclones and extratropical cyclones, which is also called as extratropical cyclones, which is also called as temperate cyclones. These are the two types of cyclones, that is tropical and extratropical cyclones. Let's see in detail about tropical cyclones. Tropical cyclones are violent storms that originate over oceans in tropical areas. Here the point is, tropical cyclones are very violent storms that originate over the sea, over oceans in tropical areas and move over to the coastal areas, bringing about large scale destruction caused by violent winds and very heavy rainfalls and storm surges. Here the point is, tropical cyclones are violent storms and that originate over the oceans and move towards the coastal areas, bringing about large scale destruction caused by violent winds and heavy rainfalls. Tropical cyclones are one of the most devastating natural calamities in the world. Here the point is, tropical cyclones are one of the most devastating natural calamities in the world, and tropical cyclones originate and intensify over warm tropical oceans. Here the point is, it is intensify over warm tropical oceans. The conditions favorable for the formation and intensification of tropical storms are, let's see what are the conditions and what are the conditions favorable for the formation and intensifying the tropical storms. The conditions is large sea area surface with the temperature higher than 24 degrees Celsius. Here the most important point, these are the favorable conditions for the formation and intensification of tropical storms. First one is large sea area surface. Sea surface with temperature higher than 27 degrees Celsius. Important point. Another favorable condition is presence of Coriolis force. You can see here presence of Coriolis force. Also variation in the vertical wind speed. Some small variations in the vertical wind speed and pre-existing weak low pressure. Here the important point, with the cyclone formations took place where the weak low pressure area or low level cyclonic circulations and upper divergence above the sea level system. These are the favorable conditions for the formation or intensification of tropical storms. That one is temperature higher than 27 degrees Celsius, presence of Coriolis force and small variation in the vertical wind speed and pre-existing low pressure. Most important point is pre-existing low pressure. Let's see about extratropical cyclones. Extratropical cyclones are referred to as mid-latitude depressions. Temperate cyclones are frontal depressions and wave cyclones. The temperature cyclones are also defined as mid-latitudes, tropical cyclones, frontal depressions and wave cyclones. These are active above the mid-latitudinal region between 35 degree to 65 degree latitude in both hemispheres. Here the important point about the extratropical cyclones is, you can see here, this active above the mid-latitudinal region between 35 degree to 65 degree latitude in both hemispheres, that is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, between the 35 degree to 65 degree latitude. The direction of the movements is from west to east direction. The direction is very important. The extratropical direction is, that is west to east direction and more propounded in winter seasons. It is in latitudinal zones, polar, tropical air masses meet and form fronts. This is about extratropical cyclones. The important point is, it is above between mid-latitude region between 35 degree to 65 degree latitude in both hemispheres, and the direction is very important. The direction is from west to east. let's say about the formation of extratropical cyclones. Origin and development of temperate cyclones is the best explained by polar front theory. We can see in polar front theory, the origin and development of temperate cyclones is well explained. According to this theory, warm humid air masses from the tropics meet the dry cold air masses. Here the warm humid air masses from the tropics meet the dry cold air masses from the poles, and thus polar front is formed. Here when warm humid air masses from the tropics meet with dry cold air masses from the poles, and thus the polar front is formed, and the cold air masses is denser and heavier, and due to this region the warm air masses is pushed up. When the cold air masses is denser and heavier, important point, when the cold air masses is denser and heavier, due to this reason, because of this reason, the warm air masses is pushed up. The warm air masses is pushed up. This interaction of cold and warm air masses creates instability and low pressure is created at the junction, particularly in the center of interactions. Thus, a wide void is created because of lessening the pressure, and the surrounding air rushed into to occupy void, and coupled with the Earth's rotation of cyclone is coupled with Earth rotation, then the cyclone is formed. The extratropical cyclones present a contrast to the more violent cyclones or hurricanes. Here the point is extratropical cyclones present a contrast to the more violent cyclones or hurricanes of the tropics, which form in the region of relatively uniform temperatures, with relatively uniform temperatures. In the regions of relatively uniform temperatures. This is about the types of cyclones, that is tropical cyclones and extratropical cyclones. Yes, this is the names of cyclones by 13 countries. We can see here the India, once observe all 13 countries and what are the names they suggested. We can see here every country: Bangladesh, India, Iran, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi, Sri Lanka, Thailand, UAE and Yemen. These are the 13 countries suggested the names for cyclones for future tropical cyclones. Once observe the map and remember the names which has suggested by India, which is very important for competitive exams. This is about our today's topic, that is naming of cyclones. Once go through the PDF. Thank you.